Good evening. Thank you for coming. We'll get this started. Took a longer time to get everybody through the door, so we're starting a little bit late, and we appreciate your patience. I am Robin Steenman. I'm the chapter chair of Moms for Liberty of Williamson County, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm also an Air Force veteran. I'm a former B-1 bomber pilot and a wife and a mom to a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So I have lots of time to be doing this. Our agenda is pretty straightforward. You're going to hear from me. I'm going to introduce Matt, and Matt's going to give you an introduction to the film, and then we'll roll the film and play video. Nope. Right.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So
I'm
you
not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide.
Well,
so I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
So Senator Blackburn really hit the nail on the head, the progressive education that we're hearing about. Moms for Liberty is all about parental rights and education, and it's all about putting the kids first in education. And gender ideology is 100% present in your child's education, without a doubt. With the billions of dollars that are being funneled into this agenda into our schools, you're going to have to learn about it as a parent. You're going to have to get smart on it. You're going to have to inoculate your child early to keep them from falling prey to it. So that's what we're here to do. This is part of our 2022-2023 school year for parents. So if you haven't heard of us as Moms for Liberty, our whole mission is to inform, equip, and empower parents to advocate for their kids. So we have an entire school year that marches right along with your child's school year, where we're going to get smart on the critical issues and the ideologies that they're facing in the classroom. We already covered critical race theory in September. We covered social emotional learning in October, and this month we're focusing on gender ideology, and the screening of this film is part of that effort. And we hope that you will stick with us on the remaining topics that we're covering throughout the year, because they're all equally important. And a little bit of background on our chapter: we started about 1 year and 8 months ago, and we were founded to combat critical race theory. That was the big buzzword of 2021. And we did that actually fairly well. But when you take a step back and you look around, critical race theory is just this one battlefront in a war for our children, the hearts and minds of our children. And when you look around at all the different fronts that our children have to deal with, they're all listed up there. They're all equally important. And we are trying to break them down and cover them 1 month at a time so that it's just more easily digestible, and that parents, because myself included, when you start listing off CRT, SEL, gender ideology, CSE, restorative justice, you just get this deer in the headlights look, and you want to give up right then. But we can't give up, because they're our kids. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Matt Walsh. He is a popular writer, speaker, and one of the right's most influential voices. He is the host of The Matt Walsh Show and author of the best-selling children's book, Johnny the Walrus. His documentary, What is a Woman?, has become a cultural phenomenon and one of the most talked about documentaries of 2022. Please put your hands together and welcome Matt Walsh.
All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. especially on this, this is Trans Awareness Week, so this could not be a better time to screen this film. And I want to thank you all for being here. Just, I'm not going to talk for long, even though I have these notes here, but we'll get to the film. As you may have noticed, we live in a culture that seems to have almost entirely lost its mind. We are living through a period of mass psychosis that is very truly unprecedented in the history of human civilization. It seems as though all at once, millions of our countrymen woke up one day having forgotten some of the most basic facts about reality, like this giant epidemic of the weirdest sort of amnesia. And lying at the heart of this intellectual chaos is the confusion, or the apparent confusion anyway, over human biology. It's a mental disease called gender ideology, which has gripped hold of a large swath of the American public and totally taken over all of our most powerful institutions. The disciples of this cult have been convinced, or pretend to have been convinced, that men are women, that women are men, that men can have babies and women can have penises, that a woman can impregnate a man who can then give birth to and breastfeed a child, that somehow the most basic facts of reality and of biology are no longer valid. And it was for this reason that we decided to make our film, What is a Woman?, which you're about to watch, and which documents my year-long effort to confront and expose gender ideology. Now, our goal broadly was to explore gendered ideology, to show it for what it is. But as the title suggests, this larger goal centers around one seemingly quite simple and specific question, which is, what is a woman? Backing up a few years, it occurred to me, sometime shortly after Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn and was immediately declared Woman of the Year, that the word woman ceases to have any meaning if a guy named Bruce can be considered one. The word man, too, is emptied of meaning. It occurred to me also that this is a major problem for the people promoting this agenda. Because if the word woman no longer means adult human female, then what does it mean exactly? And if they cannot tell us what it means, then how can they use the word? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And if they can't use the word, then how can they have women's marches and talk about women's rights or say anything at all about women? Indeed, how can a man say, I identify as a woman, if the word doesn't mean anything? It's like saying I identify as a flifferdoodle or as a whoosy what's it. How can someone identify as gibberish? And if they do, how are we supposed to affirm or respect that self-identification? I couldn't affirm gibberish even if I wanted to, and I don't want to. So it became obvious to me that this question, what is a woman, presents an insurmountable logical problem for the left. And so I asked the question, starting a few years ago, and I kept asking the question and asking it in every forum available to me, mostly on Twitter, that is. But they simply ignored it to the extent that they could, and they carried on pretending like their worldview was not fatally incoherent and self-contradictory. So after a year of this game of them, years rather, of this game of them ducking and dodging the question, I decided finally there was time to take the query to them, to put it in front of their faces, to confront them with it in a way that they cannot avoid anymore. So began a quest that took us all over the country and even halfway around the world to Kenya and to some other regions of the third world, like Los Angeles. And we spoke to alleged doctors, experts, therapists, professors, surgeons. We spoke to trans people themselves. We spoke to activists. We spoke to politicians. We spoke to average people on the street, all of which you will see. We spoke to nomadic tribesmen living in huts made out of cow dung. We spoke to everyone who would speak to us, and even some people who would not. And yes, I effectively did all of this, embarking on a year-long global quest, all because people were ignoring my tweets. I am, if nothing else, one of the country's most dedicated trolls, which even my enemies, I think, would agree with that. And I learned quite a bit through this extraordinary and often bewildering and disturbing adventure. Some of what I learned did come as a revelation to me. I thought I knew everything I needed to know before we set out, but I realized that's not the case. Other lessons simply emphasized the things that I already knew and illustrated those things to me. But in either case, it was enlightening for me, just as I hope the film will be enlightening for all of you. And so I want to thank you again for coming out and watching it. And I also would hope that after you watch this film, and you'll be horrified by many parts of it and amused by some parts of it, but the main thing that I want you to be after you watch the film is motivated. I want you to be eager to leave this room and go out and fight this scourge that you're going to see presented to you in this film, because it is everywhere, it is pervasive, it is toxic, it is dangerous, it is destroying our children. And so watch the movie, enjoy it, and then go out and fight. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Enjoy the movie.
Together, and we all kind of scoffed together. And there were a few parts that really stuck out to me. One was the founder of the Trey Voices. He holds up his forearm. It's a sign of phalloplasty. It means they removed his skin, his flesh, his nerves, the blood vessels. And he says, I love my kids, and I love your kids. And that's what we are founded on. We love our kids, and we love your kids, and we love the kids of Williamson County. And we are focusing on gender ideology in the month of November and all the ideologies that are facing our children, because they're real. In the month of November, so when we focus, we do kind of a set of things, and we are 2 down, and we'll post a gender ideology quiz later this month. And we have a gender ideology parent toolkit. It's live, but it's under construction. And if you have any questions, I hope that you'll visit our website and check out the parent toolkit for gender ideology, because that website, Trey Voices, that'll be on it. Fourth Wave Now, that'll be on it. That's another resource for parents who are dealing with this. With the white papers that debunk all this ideology, all the claims that they make, it'll be on it. We're going to be all-inclusive. Whatever you need to know, we want it to be central, because information is power. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free and enable you to defend your children. I'm going to hold everybody's seen the Glenn Beck chalkboard episodes, right? So at the end of the month, we always rate how Williamson County Schools ranks on the issue of gender ideology. In other words, how prevalent is it in our schools? And I've done a bit of a deep dive, kind of Glenn Beck style on it. And so far, nobody's done the dive quite this way. They've looked at the funding, they've looked at the lobbies, they've looked at how the ideology came about. This is how the ideology flows from on high down into our schools, and it's very real. And these clubs that you see down here, they all exist. They're all here. That's Williamson County. And these at the top, those are international, worldwide organizations. Underneath that, very powerful national organizations. And in the middle, those are all your very well-funded activist organizations that are at work right here. And the bottom line for this graphic is all of those. Now, I could have connected them in greater detail, and then it would have been a spaghetti mess, and you wouldn't want to look at this graphic. But the one arrow that I didn't fail to draw for any of these organizations is the ones that connect to our schools. So please be aware that watching What is a Woman, there's parts that are awful, and there's parts that are funny and got a chuckle out of us. But don't go home tonight and think that's just Matt Walsh traveling the country. Don't think that Williamson County is off the hook. We brought Matt Walsh in. He opened our eyes on this ideology. But my job And the job of the Moms for Liberty team is to tell you, where is Williamson County in all this? And how can you advocate for your children against it? And it's a job we take very seriously. At the end of this month, I'll be holding a Zoom session in which I walk through, this is about a 40-minute presentation to walk through all of these entities and how they tie into our county. And I don't expect everybody to tune in, but it'll be there in the Gender Ideology Toolkit when you need it. So, where is the toolkit? If you visit our website, Moms for Liberty, WC for WilliamsonCounty.org, you can find us through the nationalmomsforliberty.org. You're just going to have to go through a few more clicks and find your chapter, or just come to us directly. And right here at the top is resources. You hover on that and you see resource library, and this comes up. And so as we march through these months of focusing on these essential topics, as we go through the month, we are simultaneously building that parent toolkit. So CRT is built, SEL is built, Wit and Wisdom is built, CIVAS is built. We are currently building gender ideology. It is live. That's what it looks like. Realize it's only about 1/10 of what it's going to be. So we've already done this month a Gender 101 and a Gender 102. Those are all posted, as well as the Glenn Beck interview or the Glenn Beck program. And again, we're going to add more and more and more to that. So if you have further questions about gender ideology or any of the ideologies facing our kids, we hope you'll come learn more about it. Can you advance this slide? So this is our website. This is what it looks like when you go to momsforlibertywc.org and follow us on social media. If you find our mission and our work to be of use to you, I hope you'll consider a donation, because we are looking to put on many more events right here at Generations for the rest of the parental school year, and we hope you'll come. So thank you again for joining us tonight.